Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Willie, and this is the encouraging word for today. There are basic principles that God has designed into the world, that are baked into the cake, things that cannot be changed. Now, we understand them in the physical realm, which is many times a reflection of the spiritual realm. Gravity is an example. We live in a world of gravity. If you drop something, it goes to the ground. We learn that as we grow up right away. And we live our lives knowing this basic principle of gravity. No one questions it. No one acts as if it doesn't exist. That's why it was so incredible that Peter and Jesus were able to walk on the water. People couldn't understand that. When the disciples saw Jesus, he was walking on the water. It didn't make sense because that was violating a basic principle of the physical world. But there are spiritual principles that God has baked into the world. It's the DNA of the world. And they can't be broken. They won't be broken. And not knowing those principles, spiritual principles, not remembering them, not applying them, will lead to brokenness in our own lives. And James, who's all about basics, he's giving us one of the basic principles of life. And it's found in James chapter 2, verse 13. Here it is. Because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. Okay? If you haven't been merciful to people in your life, and mercy means forgiving, understanding, compassionate, all tied into one. If you have not been merciful, not been acting with mercy towards people, you will not receive mercy from God. And Jesus, when he first started his ministry, he gave what is known as the Beatitudes. What is the first teaching he gave? It's found in Matthew 5, and it worked out a little bit in chapter 6 and 7. But these things like basic principles. These are the building blocks spiritually of the world. And in Matthew chapter Matthew chapter 5, he says this: Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. So if you're merciful, you will be shown mercy. The reverse side of the coin is true also. If you are not merciful, you will not be shown mercy by God when you need mercy. And Jesus told a very famous parable in Matthew 18, 32 through 35. It's of the master or a servant of a master who owed the master so much money he couldn't pay. Huge amount of money. And he came to the master asking for mercy. Forgive my debt. And the master forgave him everything. Then the servant went out and found a fellow servant who owed him a little bit of money, a fraction of what he had been forgiven. Say like $5, and he had been forgiven $1 million. And the fellow servant says, give me time, have mercy on me. I can't pay it back right now. And that man who had been forgiven everything, you know what he did? He said, no mercy for you. And he had him thrown in jail, debtor's prison, which they had at that time. Now that didn't sound good to the other servants, so they told the master. And the master was upset. He called the servant in and he said, "You wicked servant, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you?" In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. Mercy is shown to those who are merciful to others. But if you are not merciful to others in your life, judgment without mercy will be shown to you. And I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself. I need as much mercy from God in my life as I can get. And so and God is willing and ready to be merciful to me. But if I do not show mercy to others around me in everyday things, to those who I have relationships with, to strangers, to someone who needs something, if I don't show mercy, guess what? I think you know. God will not show mercy to me. And Jesus also said in the royal law, as James called it, love your neighbor as yourself. So if you want mercy, show mercy to your neighbor. And if you show mercy to your neighbor, you will receive mercy from God. So it's a basic principle. It's simple, easy to understand, but unfortunately we forget it in the moment. Be merciful, my friends. Be merciful, because you will need God's mercy also, just like I need his mercy. God bless you, and I hope you can apply that and remember that basic principle of life in your life. I will see you again on Wednesday, and we'll be on Facebook Live. Until then, God bless you and be merciful.